And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Tuesday, the 21st July, 2026. One of those days, possibly, maybe, could be. May want to listen carefully. On the good side, we'll get to that in a little bit. In case you don't know, this is serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, and the economy, and your job, and your industry, and war, and tariffs. The president's at it again. And whatever else I think really matters. Is that okay? To you, your life, your job, and all that. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. And if you'd like to email us, just be nice and respectful. Not like the guy who emailed me and called me an ass clown and said, please do not embarrass yourself by running in 2028. As you know, yesterday I said, boy, I'm really considering it. He went on to say, you have a face for radio, not TV. You aren't even worth 8 digits and are too cheap to use it. How do you know what I'm worth? You don't know what I'm worth. And says you have no clue how to utilize social media and have minuscule followers. He's correct. I assume it's a man, right? He's correct. I'm the worst with social media. I'd never done anything with it. And the fact is, I never fought when I had 90,000 followers and then Twitter shut me down for a night because I said that Bernie Sanders' economic thoughts are communistic, and one of his people complained. And when I was brought back up, I went from 90 down to 30. And then he goes on to say, that being said, might I be your campaign manager? I love that. Way to go. Anyway, what can I tell you? And one of the reasons I am contemplating running, and by the way, not for the small stuff, the big stuff, because I think the big stuff, the people that are in the big stuff suck. And they're corrupt, and their decision-making's terrible. They're overrated in every way, shape, or form, and they're tiresome. You know that, right? You see what's going on, don't you? I take no joy in this. In my eye, I just think they hate us. And we're going to give you another example in a little bit that just should piss you off of them taking advantage of their positions of power when they're not supposed to be. That'll be in a bit. So we're very careful when describing the market. What do I mean by that? Well, there are fundamentals in the market, and what that means is their earnings and their sales, their products, their management, what they sell, what their margins are. And then there's the technicals in the market. That is what we talk about a lot here besides the fundamentals, and that is price patterns, bull and bear markets, uptrends and downtrends. And we try to keep it in a way where we're not over the head. And I know there's a lot of lingo when we talk technicals and price patterns. You hear it every now and then. Head and shoulders patterns. Double bottoms, double tops, triple bottoms, triple tops, breakouts and breakdowns. We throw those things in, and we try to explain exactly what they are and how they work. A breakout is when a stock, let's just use $100, rallies up to $100 and can't get through it, and backs off to 90, and then rallies back to 100 and can't get through it, and then backs off to 95 and rallies up to 100 and can't get through it. And for 3 months, or whatever time it may be, every time it gets to $100, it can't get through it. And then finally one day it breaks out above $100. That is what is known as a breakout. And of course, and we've said this before and we'll say it again, just because something breaks out does not mean it's going to be successful. The 100 can go to 105 and 3 days later go back to 95. There's no law that says it has to be successful. And of course, when it goes to 95, we have this phrase we use, tucked its head in like a frightened turtle. That's a quote out of Seinfeld. And of course, the same goes for breakdowns. So that same stock goes to 100, comes down to 90, goes to 95, comes down to 90. But every time it hits 90 over, let's use 3 months, it bounces off at $90, and then it breaks below $90. Well, as we said on the upside, just because something breaks down below that 90, and that's considered a breakdown, does not mean 3 days later it's not back to 95. And they use these terminologies, a false breakout, false breakdown. But when the market's ripe, these breakouts work and usually lead to nice upside. If the market stinks and everything's breaking those levels at the same time, that usually means there's some trouble ahead. And then you have other things that are not as easy to explain. But we're going to attempt to, and hopefully you can picture what we're going to attempt to do, because there is a chance that the all-important and recently blown up semiconductors / artificial intelligence areas did something today, a characteristic of the worst possibly over. But it's not as simple as breakouts and breakdowns in the market. And by the way, when we talk about breakouts and breakdowns, the reason why stocks break out, usually something good's going on, something breaks down, usually something not so good. If a whole sector's doing it to the upside, maybe there's something great going on in the sector. Like right now, oil prices are getting stronger because the things are escalating. So we got some oil refiners on the move and pretty darn strong on the other end. You get my point. So we're going to try and explain away. Now, as you know, we have been very much on the avoid side of the semiconductors and the artificial intelligence trade. Every day we've been coming on here and saying, boy, man, blasted, 30% drop, 40% drop, SanDisk 40%, for instance. And we also talked about something called wide and loose. And what that simply means is, as we've explained, whenever something's going up and is really strong, and then all of a sudden gets very wide and loose. Down 20, up 30, down 50, up 40, all over the map type of thing. It usually, not all the time, signifies we're going to have a change of direction because the sellers are now fighting and starting to get the upper hand. The same goes for the downside. So the semiconductors topped, the artificial intelligence trade topped, and boy, there's some names down 50%. Some even more. Because as you know, when things are working, it'll carry everything. Even the worst stuff, even the speculative stuff. So they went through some real bad action. Up next, what happened Friday? What happened yesterday? What happened today? That's up next on Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So, the semiconductors have been having a very rough time of it. In fact, topped out at 14,655 on June 22nd. On Friday, hit a low of 11,194. It's a pretty good drop in a matter of a month and change. Not even. Let me see. Yes, June 22nd, not even a month. But before that, it was already trading wicked. It had dropped from 14,000 to 11,800, then back up and back down before the top came in. And the low, listen carefully, picture this. On June 9th was 11, let's round it off to 11,800, but closed that day at 12,600. Big reversal. That's June 9th. Rallied up and then dropped to July 7th down to right around 12,000 after going to 14.6. So you had a reversal a few weeks before where you can draw a line, and the breakout before that was at 12,000, so you draw a line across 12,000, and the low was hit on July 7th, 12,000. You can draw a line. But last Thursday, the 12,000 undercut. A little bit below. And then came Friday. All the way down to 11,200. A breakdown. But one thing happened before the close. It finished that day at 11,700. Still below 12,000, but we consider that some defense. And we noted it. And of course, there's individual names that are behind this. And we noted things like Western Digital and Seagate with the full reversals. But then we came into yesterday. And we had a big gap to the upside on the semis. In fact, up above 12,000. And I'm thinking we may be onto something here. But it closed at 11,700 and something. Had a very bad reversal. That's not good. So you had a decent reversal to the upside Friday and a crappy reversal to the downside Monday in the midst of a downtrend. We gap up today, finish up 612, back above 12,000, that support area. We can draw a line under it. It's an undercut Friday, and now a move back above Tuesday. There is potential now for that Friday being a washing out of the late sellers. And we say that because the strongest names were always on watch. AMD up 40 today. It's been the strongest name. Micron up 100. Back above the 50-day by a little bit. Still down about, 280 points from the highs. It's been roughed up. So we're just letting you know you went to a breakdown point. You undercut it. But on the day you undercut it, you got back a lot of it. And then 2 days later, you're back above. There is a chance here that'll be a washout, which means more to go to the upside. To what extent, we don't know. Which names we're in the midst of earnings season, anything possible. We just did a webcast for our peeps and went through all the semis. Most look like crap. Some of them are way, way down. But there is a chance here. Buyers got the upper hand today, and it's not just a good up day. And by the way, on the way down, we had some very good up days, and they got slammed. So just letting you know, nothing's for sure. But this characteristic we have seen before, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. Important names like Seagate, big washout. Back above the 50. Western Digital, another one with a washout where we can draw a line, undercut, get back above. Unfortunately, though, after a few other names that are on the good side, like some of the equipment guys like Applied Materials, ASML, most everything is way, way down. But we will tell you, if things do get better, way, way down will rally also. Now, the other part of today, oil prices are up $2. Yield, the 10-year yield was up 0.3 to 4.628. The president, because I guess he was bored, put a 50% tariffs on Canada. You would think the market would get shelled. Well, the Dow got 385 points back today from the 400 lost yesterday. And the NASDAQ up 329, the NASDAQ 100 up 550. And the SOX up, was it 5%? I think 5%. 5.2%. Interesting enough, and this is true, with the Dow up 385, I think I have 18 stocks in the Dow that were down. Just tells you how influential Caterpillar and Goldman Sachs are. They were up today. You ready? 55, 695, 350 Dow points of the 385, two names. That's how the cookie crumbles right now, ladies and gentlemen. High price names. So that's the story. A chance, not 100% sure. The SOX is still very much below the 50-day moving average, very important. Many names still look like crap. We'll take a look at them again. I must tell you, we hope we get a pullback tomorrow, constructive-wise, for good entry. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Up next, got lots more to cover. This is the one only Investor's Edge. Welcome once again to Investor's Edge. You know what else was amazing about today? And this has been going on. The semiconductor strong. You know what the strongest group has been in technology lately? We've been telling you. Software security and other software names. They got creamed today. It seems like it's the sharks against the jets in technology market. Simple as that. If the semis are strong, the AI is strong, the software is weak, and vice versa. My favorite names got smacked today. The best relative strength software names got smacked today. Welcome to my world. I've never seen something like this before. I really haven't. Usually they will go hand in hand. Nope. CrowdStrike and those names got young today. And again, it may be pretty decent news that the president put on more tariffs on Canada, oil was up, and the 10-year yield was up. And don't get me started. I was watching them today on Iran. They don't know what the hell they're doing, unfortunately. And just lies. The president was out today again like 3 times. Yeah, they want to make a deal, and they're calling me. No, they're not. They're laughing at you. We were told he's the greatest deal maker and negotiator on earth. He's the most overrated deal maker and negotiator on earth. Again, miscalculation since day one on all this, unfortunately. What else today? Well, we mentioned Caterpillar and Goldman. Let's see, 56. Let's give you exact numbers. 364 of the 385 Dow points were those two names. And 18 Dow stocks were down, and there were like 3 or 4 that were hardly up. Quite the quite. What else? Gold had a good day. And if there's anything bullish I can say about gold right now, is that for the last 1, 2, 3, into the 4th week, it's not breaking down again. And it's been bad. The Bitcoin, if I can say anything bullish about it, it's gone 8 weeks. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nah, it's the 7th week. It's not going lower. Just remember, both have been in bearish phases. And we're always looking for, when something's in a bearish phase, where they stop. How do they stop? They just stop. That's how you know. Duh. What else stuck out today? SpaceX. I'll give you the good and bad. The good. It finished up $4 today. After dropping $30 in 7 days. Am I right? I'll even go further. Let's see. It hit a high on July 6th at 167. Hit it 120 yesterday. How about $47 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And in the last 7 days, yeah, just what I said. So it was up $4 today. You know what the bad news is? It was up 10. It was actually up $10 today to 130, closed at 123.5. Up a little bit in the aftermarket. And as I said to you, I think the investment bankers that brought this public are going to do everything in their power to get that at least back above the IPO price, which is 135, let alone 150, which is what it opened at. And as we have stated, we warned you, for the past couple of years, most all initial public offerings, they opened them up too hot and they crumbled because of valuation problems. And if anything with valuation problems, this one, by the way, it's got a 1.6 something trillion market cap still, with $18 billion in revenues, $5 billion loss, cash flow negative, and they did a $25 billion bond offering, and they're in a risky business of rockets. But as I said to you, I do believe they're going to have big growth going forward. Whether or not to fill those numbers up is another story. So that was SpaceX, a little bit of Bitcoin for you. Anything else that stuck out? Well, again, for me, it was all about the semis, and I call them the big 4. Micron, SanDisk, Seagate, Western Digital. I call them the big 4. And by the way, they're all up in the after hours a little bit. SanDisk closed at 1589. It's 1602, almost 1%. Micron closed at, if I can find it, Micron closed at 970. It's 976. Seagate closed at 891. It's 894. Western Digital closed at 548. It's 553. And interesting enough, the NASDAQ is down in the aftermarket. So those areas, and we'll see how they open tomorrow. That was the story today, and potential for a big story. And of course now earnings. And it was an interesting day. 3M up 11 for the Dow today. I must tell you, 3M stock has not been the greatest performer of all time. In fact, 3M is still trading where it did in 2017. 3M in the Dow. And is still about, 217.47, 20 some odd percent off the highs of early 2018. But it had a good day today. No argument there. GM was up today, but Schwab was down. Danaher was down. A few more others. Tomorrow morning, no biggie. Well, Capital One Financial tomorrow. That's after the close. Tomorrow morning, GE Vernova, Northern Trust, Philip Morris. After the close tomorrow, Google, IBM, Las Vegas Sands, ServiceNow, and Tesla. I'm real interested in seeing what Tesla has to say. That's been on the weaker side, ladies and gentlemen. But we are told they're going to be big in robotics and all kinds of other stuff. By the way, Tesla is still down 28% from its high in December. About 28. And is trading where it did. You got to go back to last September. Tesla. And that's today. And again, I got to repeat. Oil up 2, yields up, market still up. Muy importante. Oh, and tariffs on Canada. You know where I stand on those, right? I can't tell you how much that irks me. And I printed out the tariffs somewhere, and I was going to report them to you. Oh, cement was part of the tariffs. Hockey sticks. I doubt that's a big deal. And of course, let's see, cement, dairy products, specifically cheese, wine, and other alcoholic spirits. So anything coming in from Canada will be paying 50% tariff. We will be, the companies and us. Furniture and it says furniture, cement, and construction materials, dairy products, wine, clothing, paper, and plywood. The good news is, I gather we can get any of that stuff at other places, right? Am I correct? I think so. They explicitly exempted crude oil and gas, duh, agricultural fertilizer, duh, and critical minerals. I cannot tell you how much I loathe the president doing this. Hey, up next, more corruption. Who cares, right? We do. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I really hope I explained that double bottom crap correctly. So, as you know, the corruption that is going on in both parties is disgusting, sickening, pisses us off. We talked about we the people, that it's no longer that. They are working for themselves. This president is the most self-dealing president we've ever had, using the office of the presidency to make himself and his family wealthy beyond the beyond, that they can never complain about Hunter Biden ever again. Hunter Biden was a piker compared to what the Trumps are doing. And here's the interesting thing about it. They know we know because it's all being reported, and they don't care because they're immune. You know what the worst thing that's going to happen to Trump? They're going to impeach him. He's not going to lose his job, though, because he needs 60. But he don't care. I was impeached twice already. Go screw. And he used it to get elected again. So what do I care? I'm making billions. Don Jr. and Erica making hundreds of millions. Go screw. And do you know why they cannot complain about what the governor of Massachusetts just did? And what Representative Pressley also, who, by the way, is a Marxist that hates capitalism, besides hating Jews in Israel, but she hates capitalism. She pisses on success and wealth. She's one of those. She hates that. The wealthy are terrible to her. Successful people didn't earn it to her. Well, guess what? A company where the husband of Representative Ayanna Pressley, the husband is a partner, was somehow selected for a nearly $2 billion deal to build a new courthouse. Even though others, who, by the way, are challenging it in court, had better proposals. The husband's name is Conan Harris. Great name, Conan. Been married for a decade. The plaintiffs are alleging Barros' role as an interim, John Barros, executive director of the Massachusetts Convention Center Authority, created a conflict of interest because several members of the agency's board also serve on the Massachusetts Division of Capital Asset Management, who selected it. In other words, complete conflict of interest and massive, I call it corruption. Deep conflicts. And you don't think the congresswoman was involved? The member of the squad who hates capitalism? And if you're successful, you didn't earn it? What did we tell you about these people? They're only Marxists, socialists, and communists with your money in your life, with their money in their life? Hell no! That's why that Stacey Abrams accepted $2 billion from Joe Biden. She created out of thin air a climate company and got $2 billion. A grant that never has to be paid back. Bless this administration for clawing it back. That's what we want to see. Anyway, we're just letting you know. These are the things we want to stop. There's always been a little bit of corruption, but it's beyond the beyond now. And they don't care. And when both parties are doing it, who can complain about each other? They can't. So there you go. Bernie Sanders used to complain about millionaires until he became one, so he had to change it to billionaire. Millionaires are not bad anymore, but the billionaires are. The governor defended the bidding process, saying that the city of Springfield deserves a new courthouse and calling the current building sick. And it was a competitive procurement process. It was a competitive bid. And it was chosen because it cost the taxpayer least. No, it didn't. There you have it. So we'll see. We're talking. We're thinking about it. Don't know if we're going to make any inroads. But you should have enough. You should all be PO'd. They're spending $2.2 trillion more every year in government than they're supposed to. The campaign finance reform was a complete lie and a complete sham. $1.6 billion Kamala Harris went through and still couldn't win. But how does campaign finance reform allow $1.6 billion? They lied. And I'm just getting started. So, just letting you know. And we'll keep reporting all this stuff to you with no bias, no agenda, no ulterior motive. If it's Trump, we're going to talk about it. If it's somebody on the left, we're going to talk about it. We don't care. They're supposed to be working for us. Don't you think? That all said, serenity now. You'll have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better. I promise. Stay well. Be well. We'll be back tomorrow. Good night, all. Bye-bye.